Alright guys, welcome back. This is episode 2 in the series in which I'm going to teach you how to code in C++. Now, in the last video, we talked about basically just an introduction. We showed how to format your first program, and really, that was just about it. Now, in this episode, we are going to be talking about syntax and variables and how to gain input from a user, because all three of those are very important and you will use them. I promise you will use them in every program you create. So we're going to go ahead and start out with syntax. Syntax is all the little things that let the compiler know what they're dealing with. For example, in IOStream, this hashtag, it's actually a preprocessor. It's pre-processing this code and letting it know that there is going to be files from this subheading in here, or that there may be, and to look out for it. And then to name the file, you use these little arrows. That is syntax. Just like it's very important that there are spaces between using a namespace and between namespace and std, and that there's a semicolon at the end. Even in functions, your main function must have those parentheses for it to take arguments, because it is, after all, still a function, and then the brackets containing the body of the function itself. So you just use these little things constantly in programming. Now, in this video, we're going to talk mainly about variables. So there's no better place to really start than to show you how to declare one. There are, for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to cover two types of variables, because they're the two most commonly used, and there's really three commonly used ones, but for the purposes of this video, I'm only going to cover two because they are far more used than the third. And they are integer, which is signified by int, and then you have string, which is signified by writing string. To declare a variable, you have to have its type and its name. So if I want to declare a variable to hold a number, I'm going to put int, because an integer is a number, and then I'm going to name the variable. So we name it a number. Variable names in C++ have some rules. They can't start with a number. They must start with a letter. They can't start with characters or numbers or anything like that. And then you put a semicolon at the end, and that is a declared variable. Right now its value is 0 because we did not assign it one. But we could say equals 24, and now the value of a number is 24. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to just leave it blank. And the other type of variable used is string. And string can take text values instead of plain number values. So for string, if we want to put string, then I'll just name it some text, and we have a declared variable. We have a declared integer and a declared string variable. These are, you have to declare variable before you can use it. So now that I've got this, I am going to use my cout function, and we're going to ask the user to enter a number. And then if you see these little /n's, that's called an escaped character. We'll talk more about that in a future video, but basically it just creates new lines. There's another way you can do it, is also put ENDL semicolon, but we're not going to go into that very much. If you all can hear, I have a little bit of a cold. So after that, you ask them to enter a number, and now you want them to input the number. So we're going to use another command from IOStream called cin. And then this one has two arrows facing the opposite direction. Now directly after that, we're going to put the name of our variable, so a number, and then we're going to hit that. And we're putting a semicolon. Now this just tells the program to wait to hit it to get a value, meaning it's going to take this and it's going to display enter a number, create two new lines, and then it's going to wait for me to enter a value. So it's going to wait for me to enter some value like 24 or 48 or a number value. If you enter a text value, your program will glitch. So there's safeguards you can put for this, but those are a bit advanced for this video, but we will cover them in a future video. So now that you have your number in, let's ask it for some text. So I'm going to create some more new lines just so it doesn't run together. That's not mandatory. But we're going to say enter a word, because strings really are only equipped to handle one word at a time without any white space between it. So we're going to tell it to enter a word, give it some new lines, and end that with a semi. Then we're going to put CN, our 2 lines, which are called, it's an operator. It's a CN operator. Then we're going to put the name of our variable, which is some text. Notice your capitalization. Your capitalization is important. Some text with a capital T is not the same as some text with a lowercase t. Those are 2 different variables. So now that you have that, we're going to see out with the out operator. This prints it to the screen, and then we're going to print our variables. Now that /n/n, those are escapes. That's just letting me clear off some line space for this. Then we're going to put another operator, and we want to put a number, then another operator for our second variable, which is some text, and then end it with a semicolon. Now that we have that, we want to, of course, we need it to return 0 because we didn't do any math that relates to the function. The function didn't perform any mathematical operations that were tied to its name. So that is really all we need. So we're going to save this program, go into our terminal, and we're going to open up and we're going to navigate to our directory. In Linux, you navigate directories by putting CD. In Windows, this would be different. You'd have an IDE and that you would be able to click compile and run, and it would do it for you. But in Linux, we have to do it ourselves, so we're just going to CD, change directory. We're going to go to Documents, and then I always save mine to Documents and then Raw Programs. So once we're in this, we can type in G++. Like I said, I explained how to compile in the last video, so I'm not going to worry too much about that, explaining how to do that. If you missed the last video, be sure to go catch up on it, and subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Every like and every subscription helps a lot. As you can see, we got no errors with this code, so we're going to go ahead and run the code. If you look at that, it says enter a number, and it's waiting. It is waiting for me to enter a number that it can display to the screen later in our video. So I'm going to put in the number 28. Now it wants me to enter a word. So me being me, I want cheese. And now it displays 28 cheese because we told it to display a number and some text, the 2 variables. So that is how you declare and use variables, which is going to be very important because you always want to be able to store some data. That way you know what you're doing with your data. Make sure to have some relevant variable names if you have to. When I personally code, if it's not important, if it's just going to be a variable I'm going to use to reset some functions, I'll name it A, B, or C. But if it's something important like a username, I will put it as string UN or username. So it just helps tidy up your code some. But yeah, other than that, I believe that's really the end of this tutorial, because that is how you use variables. This is some of the syntax for it. And next time we will be talking about we will go yet again more advanced into how to really use this. Next time we're going to create a functional program that actually does some good. We will create a calculator program, which it will be fun. We're going to create several variants of this throughout this series. Like the one we're going to create, we're just going to use cout and cin, and it's only going to work one time each time you run the program. But coming up in the future, when we cover loops, we will be able to create a calculator that repeats, and eventually when we cover functions, we'll be able to create a modular calculator that repeats. So thank you all for watching. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you get notifications for every new video. And be sure to check out the previous video and the video next. So until next time.